Hi to everyone. I'm Stefano Eleuteri. I'm the vice chair of the World Sexual Health Day Committee of the World Association for Sexual Health, and to celebrate together it's in a typical sexual or romantic situation. Well, of course, sexuality is recognized as a central aspect of human life. And we know that sex involves individuals' intimacy, bringing them also to confront their own desires and fantasies, as well as the society they live in and its taboos. So, of course, it is more difficult for people living in less usual sexual or romantic configuration to practice in a situation that has been perceived as a positive relationship. In fact, historically, sexuality has been socially accepted only within heterosexual relationships, but also in situations that have been designed to be after marriage for procreative purposes, and this, of course, excluded the concept of pleasure. These were perceived as boundaries, and of course, there are multiple shades of desires, but also different ways of experiencing a positive relationship and pleasure that have been perceived as non-conventional. And still today, there is a stigma and fear of the different that are deeply rooted in each of us. So when we talk about different sexual and romantic situations, we talk of open couples, for example, who explores shared sexuality outside a two-person relationships, but also those who practice consensual and non-harmful BDSM practices. We know that some families face crisis after discovering their child's homosexual orientation, often hiding the reality and not accepting it. And also we have discrimination for transgender people or people with disabilities that may be obstacles to a positive relationship. Of course, when we talk about a positive relationship, we talk of consent, inclusivity and respect, safety, all the aspects that are more connected to a sex positive approach that is against the idea of a sex negative approach that was more based on the idea that sex is bad, dirty, wrong, and sinful. So, of course, having a positive relationship means being focused on shared pleasure without judgment and also going beyond a negative experiences approach that could be prevented and just having the idea of risks. So, of course, the idea of sex positivity give us the possibility to concentrate on the idea that sex can be a positive thing in someone's life, that of course to maintain a positive relationship we should be respectful and non-judgmental regarding also the diversity of expression, the different sexuality, but also the different relational configuration that we could have. Of course, the sex positivity could be interpreted as a new sexual revolution because it has the aim to overcome taboos and stigma and give also the idea that in order to maintain a positive relationship around the world, sexual rights should be shared between everyone. So, of course, there is also the idea that positive attitudes toward minorities do not decrease the power and the possibilities for other people, but it should enhance them. So, of course, it is something that is connected to the possibility to share these. Another aspect that could be difficult to be interpreted in a positive relationship way is asexuality. In fact, also regarding asexuality, there could be the myth that it is difficult to negotiate if having or not having sexuality, which kind of sexuality having, and for which purposes having it. While, of course, having clarity and talking well about their needs and interpreting also the avoidance of sexuality, not as the avoidance of the other, but just as the possibility to exercise their willingness and power, could be a possibilities to maintain positive relationship also in this aspect. We also anticipated before that also regarding BDSM practices could be difficult to maintain an idea of positive relationship, but an article that have been published by Botta and colleagues suggested Semmers, above all the dominant and switch groups, appear to be more satisfied and less concerned about sexuality than the general population. And again, this probably is connected to the idea that they have the possibility to talk more about what they like and also about what they perceive as something important. Another challenge for having positive relationships is, of course, the consensual non-monogamy. When we talk about consensual monogamy, we talk of these forms like open relationships, polyamory, swinging, so all the different kind of situations and relational configuration that are not based on the monogamy. Of course, in order to maintain a positive relationships in these aspects, it is important to maintain a constant and transparent communication and also to maintain the centrality of consensual agreements that should be always explicitly said. In fact, all the relationships are different, and even if we are in an open relationship or in a polyamorous relationship or in a swinging one, it does not mean that we allow everything to ourselves and to the partner, but we have to identify what are our boundaries and right. Just this could help us to maintain this. So, of course, in order to maintain a positive relationship, it is always important to be focused on the relational quality and the couple adjustment, and to maintain, of course, good levels of desire and sexual satisfaction for both partners in order to maintain a good health and happiness levels. So, of course, just before finishing it, how we can manage it. We have anticipated before that consent, agreement, and communication are the basis. So, of course, managing jealousy is something that helps us to maintain a positive relationship, respecting always the individual needs, considering always that the need of one is not always the need of the other, and try to negotiate. It means that we have to look for a win-win strategy. Thanks a lot for your attention, and I'm available to my social networks channel and by email for any doubts. Thank you.